Okay, we're finally going to start talking about how we can solve quadratic equations. And hopefully you've seen this very basic one, factoring, before. And the idea here is if we can factor it into two linear factors, then you set each of those factors equal to 0 and solve. And the reason is we're saying if you have two things and you multiply them and you get 0, one of them must be 0. That's kind of the mathematical fact behind it. Okay, so you should have seen this before. If you haven't, there are links in the notes to some videos of how to do this. So please go through those and do some practice. But here's kind of, if you've seen it before but you just need a reminder, here's how we do it. So we want to solve x squared plus x equals 6. Now what we need to do is get everything on one side. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. And what we want to do is we want to write this as two factors. Now to do this, we need to think of two numbers that multiply to get -6 and add to get 1. Okay, since it's a negative, one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. So for example, if we do +3 and -2, those are the two numbers that multiply to get -6 and add to get 1. Now what we do is we take each of these linear factors, so this is 1, and this is 1, and we set them each equal to 0. So x plus 3 equals 0. Sorry about that. And x minus 2 equals 0. So here we would subtract 3 from both sides. We get x equals -3. And here we would add 2 to both sides. So we'd get x equals 2. So those would be our two solutions. Okay, now we want to look at the x-intercepts of the quadratic function. So the related quadratic function here is going to be the x squared plus x minus 6. So we're going to put that in our calculator. We can look at the graph. Okay, now it's crossing here at -6. Okay, so we get a graph that looks like this. Okay, and we can see that it's crossing the x-axis at 2 and -3. And if we go to the table and look at 2, the y value is 0, and -3, the y value is 0. Okay, so here we'd say the x values and the x-intercepts are the solutions of the original equations. So do they match? Yes, we found the same two x-intercepts, x equals 2 and x equals -3.